Welcome or tervetuloa to this brief information session on the Master of Biochemistry here at the University of Oulu. My name is Nuria and I'm also a student at the University of Oulu at the Masters of Education and Globalization. And here today with me I have Niyati and Alexander. Would you mind introducing yourself and telling us what your role is in the biochemistry program?
Hi, I'm Niyati Kandikanti and I've recently finished my master's in biochemistry from Oulu University, and I'm from India. My previous background is I was a clinical pharmacist back in India, and I wanted to do more research, so now I equip myself with research skills in biochemistry, and that's about it.
Yes, so my name is Alexander Kastantiotis. I'm actually from Germany, but I've been working in Finland now for 22 years. I am the director of the master's program of the Faculty of Biochemistry and Molecular Medicine, and also the coordinator of the international master's program. So I'm involved in the selection process, and I also have my own research group where I follow a interesting research project.
Great, thank you so much for your replies, and it's great having you both here. And now, firstly, we can start this conversation. By Niyati, could you share us how you heard about this master and what was sort of your first opinions on it?
So initially I was looking through the pages of studyinfo.fi, that is the joint application system that Finland has, and it has a really cool filter system, so I could check the kind of program that I wanted for me, like what I wanted to learn and the level of studies. And when I put this filter in, and it showed me a few universities, I got really interested in Oulu University, and then I did further research on it. Like I looked through the official pages, like the website and the social media, like Instagram and everywhere else.
Yeah, that was a very thoroughly process, I think.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to also ask you about your application process and what would be the main requirements to apply to these masters.
So while I was applying, what I was asked for was my previous studies. I needed a basic, at least bachelor level studies in life science discipline, and so a document proving that I have a degree in it, and the transcripts, if they're in other languages, maybe the translations. And I was also asked for language specifications because they have a standard of language that is required besides the curriculum vitae and motivation letter.
Okay, yeah, that's good for the prospective applicants to keep in mind then.
Yes, it's very important.
And now, Alexander, could you tell us something more about what the faculty is looking for this master program specifically?
Okay, so as Niyati said, you need to have at least a bachelor's degree in some field of life sciences. We actually recruit from a very wide variety of life sciences, not just biochemists, but we've taken in pharmacists, but also we've had, for example, a forensic scientist, we've had microbiologists, biologists. We need to see that you have a significant amount of biochemistry in your coursework that you had. We look for academic excellence. Which means, so for example, if you're graded on a scale of 0 to 4, you need to have at least a 3 or higher than that. Corresponds to first class or second class upper in some institutions. We also look for something special about you. So we look at your CV. We look at are there any kind of extracurricular activities. We look at the letter of motivation. For something that makes you stand out. So the letter of motivation is important, even though it seems like maybe just some requirement. And that brings you to the interview stage, where we're then gonna try to find out what kind of person you are, and if the knowledge that you claim to have is really what you have. One thing that I want to point out here is, for everyone, please pay attention to the language requirements. If you do not fulfill the language requirements, I am never going to see your application, because they get sorted out before they even get to me.
Yes, I think that's going to be very valuable information for prospective applicants for sure. And now I wanted to ask you specifically about the program structure, so about the course, internships, master thesis, and how that all connects and comes together under the logic of the program. So.
Okay, so it's a 2-year master's program. You need to collect 120 credits for that. It's a very flexible program. We only have 35 credits that are compulsory. 20 of them are credits with courses that are absolutely compulsory. The other 15 are dependent on which study line you take. We have 2 study lines. It's either protein science and biotechnology or molecular medicine. And depending on which ones you take, that will actually then determine some of your compulsory courses. The rest of the credits you can fill with whatever. Your master's thesis can be short, 3 months. That'll give you 30 credits, but you can have your master's thesis up to 60 credits for 7.5 to almost 8 months. You can design your coursework in a way that you do a lot of practical work. You can get up to 80 credits of practical work. So it means you would only need another 5 credit course after you've done your compulsory courses. But it's really up to you. Because we have the flexible thesis, that means you can design your coursework in a way that you want it to, either more lectures, more theoretical knowledge, or you can orient yourself very much practically in lab work and research work.
Wow, that's great. So Nihat, it seems that students have a lot of freedom to shape their study path according to their interest. I wanted to ask, what was your experience of this as a student and why it was valuable for you?
I agree. The study program is really flexible. Coming from India, where most of the higher education is rigid program, we have like the same subjects every year. The students attending that course have the same subjects every year, and then they pass out like with grades that tell them what grade they got. But in Finland, I felt like I could pick the course that I'm interested in, that I want to develop my skills in, and then I could also pick the courses that I had some weaknesses in that I wanted to develop. So it was up to me what I wanted to improve in my course. So I had some subjects like molecular biology and mandatory subjects, and then the subjects that were elective that I could choose to go into specialization. For example, if I was more interested in virology. But yeah, I could also have like external courses like business course or a language course if I was really interested in it. So I could put all of them together to form my degree, and then finally there's the pro gradu or the master's part, where the master's thesis is, which is usually the most important part of the master's degree. And I could have the choice of doing it in my university or other universities, and choose whichever research group that I was interested in. And it really felt like, because of this flexible course system, that I was able to, from being a person who never held a pipette, to be a biochemist now, or someone who can call themselves a biochemist. And I think that's what I like about the program.
Great. That sounds fascinating, and it seems like it opened a lot of opportunities for you. Mm-hmm. Now I wanted to ask Alexander about how this master program connects with the work life after graduating. You've both mentioned this, but could we dive in a little bit more on that? Sure.
Yeah, so from when we talk to our students, most of them, so about 80%, 70 to 80%, are interested in pursuing doctoral studies afterwards. So we do train our students to be able to be capable researchers, and we can create opportunities by having our research groups connected very well to other research groups all over the world. We've had our students placed in very prestigious institutions to do doctoral studies. I think we have a very good reputation. And so we can prepare them as researchers, but there's also an emphasis on practical work, so you really get a lot of hands-on experience. So you are useful in any sort of lab, and also then are capable of working within an industrial environment. There's some small companies here that take people from our institution. But we also give opportunities for the students to choose orientation courses, as we call them, where they can get themselves placed in other institutions or industry for a 3 or 6 week orientation, like basically a practical that they can do there to have this connection. And in addition to that, we allow 5 credits of Finnish language course. because we know it's important if you want to get a job in Finland to actually know the Finnish language. And then also what we give as an opportunity to our students is that, and now I lost my track. What did I want to say? I dropped it. But anyway, so, oh yes, and we have courses that we think give you transferable skills. So that recently we've installed a number of courses that have to do with data processing, data mining. These are not just usable for biochemistry and molecular biology, but this is a transferable skill that helps you with all kinds of data handling. And recently also we have now new courses in things like microfluidics that actually help you getting jobs in a more like technical oriented companies.
I see. Yeah, it seems like a lot of learning and professional opportunities open up after these masters.
Yeah.
And Niati, as a graduated student, what advice would you give prospective students? And if you could just briefly tell them some words.
I would say that this university has a really cool campus, and you can have a lot of student-related facilities. You also have the opportunity to study like at your own pace if the courses, some courses are available hybrid. And I got to do part of my studies in Germany because I'm doing the double degree program. So if you're applying for biochemistry, keep an eye for that and maybe even apply for it. And always be curious and make sure that you are checking the university, because there's like so many facilities available that you could avail. And I think you should make sure that you have all the basics that you're required to apply. And also check for the SOAS accommodation, because those are the student accommodation that you can get for really reasonable price in Oulu. And in Finland, students get like reasonable prices for living, and I think that's my only advice.
Yeah, I think that's great to keep in mind. And thank you so much to both of you for this conversation. Just to remind prospective applicants, if you are interested in the biochemistry master's program, the applications open and close in January, so keep an eye for that. And thank you again for having you here.
Thank you, Nuria.
Thank you.